G'day subscribers, today we're going to talk about the 4-brush starter motor for the FJ Holden. You're with Jules Knight on Jive Talking Garage. So we've had a lot of feedback and questions. I've even had phone calls from New Zealand about the 4-brush starter motor. What do you do, how do you do it, all of those sorts of things. The first thing is, after I had it done for the first car, I've had it done for this car, I've had it done for another one coming out. So let's just do a bit of proof of the pudding. Ignition on, hit the starter button, no accelerator. Straight away, just ticks over. So into gear, and we're off. So I've got indicator, I've got Supervisor Louis and Chief Executive Jasper with me at the moment. So the starter motor is a bit of a funny situation because it looks the same. So when I had it first done, I only took notice of it because Barnsey, one of the other AEHF directors, with myself on the Cleveland Nationals in '88, was talking to me about it, and I always make a point of listening to the old timers because they tell you so much more than you know. They're forgetting things you're trying to learn. So I thought maybe there's something in this. So there was a bloke called Logan Priest who I used to play squash with, and he was an auto electrician at Wynnum. He's now retired. And I was talking to him about it. He said, "Yeah, Julesy, we can do that. Drop it into me, but I want you to go and get a Volkswagen 4-brush starter motor." Okay, and I didn't understand the significance because Volkswagen engines and, well, let's say flywheel, Volkswagen flywheel rotates differently in the opposite direction than what Holden does. But that's not the point of why it was required. Now the reason for that was Logan needed the parts from the 4-brush starter motor to put in the Holden starter motor. So I went and got the Volkswagen 4-brush from a Wreckers. So it was a 6-volt starter motor. So I delivered him my Holden 2-brush starter motor and the Volkswagen 4-brush starter motor. And the reason that he wanted that was both of them are 6-volt. Both of them are Bosch. So we're talking about commonality of parts, and the extra parts that were needed for the 4-brush starter motor were actually utilised from the Volkswagen. So that was really good. Now, I think it was a case of when Holden ordered the lamps, distributor, regulator box, starter motor and generator from Bosch. You know, a lot of the components are made in Germany. Well, they get here and they're installed in our FJs and the late FX, late 48 models, so the air ride. But Holdens are trying to do things as economically as possible. So I would suggest having the choice of, this is the price for a 2-brush starter motor, this is the price for a 4-brush starter motor. 4 costs more than 2. As a consequence, 2's chosen. Now, it's a real shame because the 2-brush starter motor it's good when everything's new in itself. But as soon as the engine gets really hot, or you have hot weather in summer or whatever, or you've gone a long distance and then you hop back in the car, that two-brush starter motor really, really struggles to turn over. And so I didn't want to do that. I can recall going to the Bacchus Marsh Nationals, and I don't know whether it was Coonabarabran or Parks or Narrabri or any of those places. You know, when I was going through in the heat of the day at lunch on the day of travel from Brisbane to Melbourne, yeah, I can remember having to push the car to get it started, and I just thought, oh, really, really don't like that. And to be quite honest, the two-brush starter motor that I had firstly had done for the car didn't cut the mustard. I wasn't impressed with it at all, and I was quite lucky because Brian Smithy just rang me on New Year's Eve, Christmas Eve, the day before I was going, and he just said, "How's it going, Julesy?" And I said, "Oh, look, there's some issues, but anyway, I'll struggle through." He goes, "Well, what's your biggest problem?" I said, "I'm not happy with the starter motor." He said, "Oh, what time are you knocking off work today?" And it just so happens this was like, 9 o'clock in the morning, and I was working for the Electricity Commission, and the boss came over to us and said, "Knock all your people off, Jules, and send them home, say Merry Christmas and on their way, and I know it's 10 o'clock, that's fine." So I went home when they did, but what Brian had said to me was, "Have you got tools with you?" I said, "Yeah, I do actually." He said, "Go to my house, no one's home, go to the garage, pop the bonnet on my ute, take the starter motor out of that because it's an air ride ute, use that, that'll get you to Melbourne and back." So it was a much better proposition than what I had, even though mine was, new components and all that sort of thing. It just wasn't good enough. But I have to say, the four-brush starter motors, they are good for all weather, good for all terrain. I'm so pleased that I not only did it for my ute, but I learned from listening to an old timer, and I also not only did it on my Calamine Blue 54 ute, but I've done it on the 1956 delivered March of 1957 Ocean Mist Green panel van, panel wagon, because it's so much better. The only difference that you hear is that little zip at the end of it, and I knew there was a sound difference because they sounded different. However, I'd forgotten about the zip. But other than that, you couldn't pick the difference. You could only hear the difference. And to be quite honest about it, who cares? This is really about safe motoring, and what is as important with safe motoring as is dependability. And by doing that, what that's got for me, what I've been able to achieve by doing that is dependability. And so, that's wrapped up with safety and all those other sorts of things, because I can now jump in my car, and provided the motor and brakes and gearbox are all good, I can go anywhere at any time. It's just so much better a proposition, and that's only because I've done an upgrade. And sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes technology is, it's as good as it was at the time, but now time's marched on and new things are available that may either A, look the same, or B, be slightly different, but they perform much better. And I think in this case, even though the four-brush components were available at the time of manufacture, it's not what was ordered on the car. And so sometimes you have to beat that level of small-mindedness that was, oh yes, but that's not how it came out of the factory. No, it's not, but that's how it should have come out of the factory. You know, most of the people who see and view my TED Talks are FJ Holden owners. And that being the case, I would also suggest that a majority of them are also club members. Now, how many club runs have you been to whereby you get to a destination or you hop back in your car and there is a car struggling to start? You know, I know Queensland's certainly famous for it. I mean, in the very recent late Tony Manganaro was always so kind to indicate off, to be the first person under a bonnet to try and help some poor bugger who needed assistance because their car wouldn't start. And a lot of the problems here are not just fuel but heat, and getting a car started for somebody. But look, in saying that, my problem with starting a hot engine has disappeared. But what you've got to do though is you've got to couple it up with a few other things. A really, really good battery. Now, I've chosen the Caterpillar 660 cold cranking amp, so it's 660 CCA, 6 volt. You know, that'll really pull a skin off a custard. So there's plenty of power in that little battery. And I've got to tell you, it's 2024. Sorry, 2023 at the moment. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. 2023, and I bought that battery in 2017. So it's not a young battery. I've gone to the Toowoomba swap meet and I had bought a really thick original type positive cable to go from battery post to the starter motor. I've got a brand new negative braided cable, same as factory, and I've made sure I've cleaned the battery terminals. I've made sure there's no paint on the subframe and attached it to the side of the subframe, just over in front of the right hand side driver's A-pillar on that apron panel on the side of where it fastens up to the firewall, intersection firewall and guard area. And then I've made sure at the back of the gearbox and also the side of the body where that braided ground strap goes, the ground strap was in excellent condition, really good to conduct electricity and clean. So I had no paint on the back of that gearbox where I bolted it on, and I had a really good nut and bolt to fasten the ground cable to the body of the car. So by doing all of those things, I'm ensuring that I achieved a really good contact and also I was able to also get every opportunity for the car to start as we get a bit of a breeze in here up from the bay. And the swing tag for Turtle Axe goes in front of the phone. But anyway, look, that's my adventures so far with this 4-brush starter motor. But I've got to say, I mean, it's beyond expectation. I mean, it's really, really good. Anyway, that's been our chat on the progress of the 4-brush starter motor. Hope it's been of some help to you whatsoever. And we've enjoyed a little bit of a drive in the FJ with Louie and Jasper. So don't forget, share, like and subscribe. But more importantly, enjoy your Holden.